कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने।
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी नमस्ते।
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी सतारिणे।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Ram Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
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 Krishna Krishna
Hare
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 Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Rama
Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
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 Rama Rama Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya
Jaya
Gauranitai.
Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai.
Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya
Jaya
Gauranitai.
Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai.
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol,
Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jaya Jagat Guru Shila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Shila Prabhupada, Jaya
Jaya
Jagat
Jagadguru Srila
Shila
Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada.
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya
Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva.
Jai Gauranga Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Jai
Jai
Gaura
Gaura
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Jai Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll start with chanting the Maha Mantra. Everybody bring your beads out. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adigaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna,
Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Krishna,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare. Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama, Rama,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
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 Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Rama,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Ram,
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama,
Ram, Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare Ram,
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama,
Ram
Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram, Hare Hare, Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Rama,
Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Rama,
Hare
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 Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Rama Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Rama Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare Rama
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Krishna,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
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 Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Rama Hare Rama Rama Rama
Hare
Hare Hare
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Rama
Hare
Hare Rama Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama Hare
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Krishna,
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram,
Rama
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare Hare Rama
Ram,
Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Rama
Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna Hare
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 Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
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 Krishna Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
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 Ram
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Krishna,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
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 Hare,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram, Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Ram, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare.
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Ram
Hare. Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
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 Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
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 Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
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 Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Ram
Ram,
Ram
Ram,
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 Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare, Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Ram, Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Ram Ram,
Ram,
Hare Hare.
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare.
Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
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 Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare
Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
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 Krishna,
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 Hare
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 Hare,
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Krishna, Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Ram,
Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
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 Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare
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 Ram,
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 Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram
Ram,
Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare
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 Krishna,
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Ram,
Ram
Ram Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Ram, Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
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 Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Hare
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 Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Ram,
Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Ram,
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram,
Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna
Hare Ram,
Krishna
Hare Ram, Ram
Krishna
Ram,
Hare 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 Ram
Hare Krishna,
Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
now we'll start with a summary of chapter 5. And today, as Sarvajit Madhav Prabhu was very nicely saying, we'll make it a little more interactive and also we'll talk more about strategy. And then also we'd like to hear from all of you how you're doing in these times, and what are you doing from the point of view of reaching out to other people, your own chanting, doing kirtan, like that. We'd like to hear some reports from you as well. So let's start with the Bhagavad Gita. Let's put our hands together and chant. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Dena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamatyam Kadati Sva Vedantikam Vanchakalpa Turudhisya Kripasindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavnebhya Vaishnavebhya Namo Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vichari Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschat Tirishtai Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasa Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita Thakur ki Jai. Nataraj Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki Jai. Jai Gautama.
Hari Hari Bol.
So chapter 5 is a very interesting chapter. As I said earlier, when Krishna speaks, he speaks in a particular type of Devanagari Sanskrit language. It's called Bhagavad, in which he allows us to have amazing realizations, and these realizations come to the acharyas, and then the acharyas speak, and from that we're able to also understand so many things. So, as I said earlier, when Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna, it is being done for a very practical purpose, for a very important purpose. Krishna wants Arjuna and everybody, but through Arjuna, he wants everybody to come to the highest point, to the highest potential of human life, which is Krishna Prema. And even in this situation, when there's a war going on and many millions of people are going to die, such a terrible situation, there couldn't be a worse situation than what was happening at the Battle of Kurukshetra. And in the middle of all that, Krishna is giving instructions so that one can rise to the highest platform to come to this point of pure love of Krishna, like that. You can imagine, it's like just the opposite. The most pristine knowledge, the most advanced devotional knowledge, and in a situation which is a terrible materialistic situation like that. So we're very fortunate that we were able to hear from Srila Prabhupada coming to the West, and of course in India as well, about this science of Krishna consciousness. And so chapter 5 plays a very important role. As we know, the scene has been set in chapter 1. In chapter 2, Krishna introduces the whole Bhagavad Gita, and particularly describes how the soul is very amazing, and that the soul can do very amazing things. Pitta pragya is what the words are used. And then chapter 3, the nature of the soul is given, so that each and every one of our natures can be engaged in Krishna's service like that. In chapter 4, we hear how transcendental knowledge will actually make everything happen, and how we have to open our hearts to this transcendental knowledge. And so now in chapter 5 is entitled Karma Yoga, or Action in Krishna Consciousness. In this chapter, Krishna is going to do amazing things. Actually, he's doing two things simultaneously, very amazingly. On the one hand, he's showing us how we can practically live in this world so that our lives are amazingly successful. And he describes in the Srimad Bhagavatam, another part, in relation to this, and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the Acharyas describe that when Krishna came to Vrindavan, as yesterday Sarvaja Madhu was pointing out, Paritranaya Sadhunam, it's in chapter 4. So Krishna comes to perform pastimes, to actually show us how much he loves us and how we can live an amazing, amazing life like that. And so these Vrindavan pastimes are meant for our lives to become fully successful and for us to become practically engaged in Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, chanting, feasting, and dancing, like that. The alternative Krishna is showing is 3 types of lives. Either it's very hellish, or it is actually false, or it is temporary. That's the alternative. So we can live one of these 2 lives. We can live a real life, which is a complete life of knowledge and happiness, or we can live a hellish life, or a little better than that is a false life, because you can imagine things and play games and illusion like that, or a temporary life, which shows some happiness in there, but it's temporary, it's fleeting, it goes away. Comes for a little while, vanishes very quickly. So these are the 2 alternatives. And so in this chapter, chapter 5, Krishna talks about that and simultaneously shows us how much he loves us. He concludes the chapter by showing how much he loves us. And I'll speak a little about that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Sorry
Krishna.
to interrupt you. This is Sarvaja Madhudas. Prabhuji, there is some static from your side. So
just 1 minute. I think there's some sound coming from the side. 1 minute.
Yeah.
I have other members in the family here, so that's why that is happening.
Yeah, and maybe I just one humble request. If you touch computer or table, maybe that also creates some kind of static.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Please continue.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me know, because that allows me to actually see things properly, do things properly. Okay, very good.
And I also want to request everybody to turn off your videos now. We will turn it on later. So please don't turn on your videos right now. Thank you.
Okay. And is the voice coming through clearly? I mean, is it?
Voice is clear, but there is some static. So I hope we can fix the static.
Okay. So let me know if the static comes back again, because then I have to adjust more. But for now,
sure.
Hopefully this is working well.
Okay, very well.
All right, wonderful. So, so in this chapter, this is the 5th chapter. By the way, it's not anything is everything is very scientific about Krishna consciousness, about Bhagavad Gita, like that. And this number 5 is very important because the greatest love that anybody can show to Krishna is shown by Radharani, and she particularly is very much into what is called the 5th note of the flute. You might remember I was saying it is the sound of the flute, Venu Gita, that makes everything happen, particularly Krishna Prema, which actually makes the whole world happen, makes the world move like that. So the 5th note of is Radharani's favorite note for expressing her love to Krishna and to engaging all of us in the love of Krishna like that. So this is the 5th chapter, and amazingly, in this 5th chapter, Krishna talks about how can you do things that are simultaneously very practical and simultaneously most advanced in Krishna consciousness. And he calls it karma. He describes it as karma yoga because we have to do karma. We're in this world, so you're going to have to act. You can't be inactive. You're going to have your swadharma, like we said, being taken care of as well. The worldly dharma that has to be taken care of, like that. So we are active beings, constantly making plans for the future. So our thoughts manifest in actions, repeated actions. Then these repeated actions actually form habits. And these habits make up our character. You might remember in the previous chapter, there were 2 parts to our life. One is the material part, which talks about our caliber. And then there's a spiritual part which talks about our character. So this is how character is built. The actions, they repeat themselves, the repeated actions become habits, the habits make up our character, and then that character determines our destiny. That's how our destiny is determined. So Krishna is making this arrangement of making us understand this. And actually, there's a great author in Western language called Mark Twain. And he famously made a comment that says that we are not human beings on a spiritual journey, but we are spiritual beings on a human journey. So, keep everything in context. We are spiritual human beings and we're on a human journey, and keep it like that. So every journey starts with a step. So you start at the step. And in this chapter, Krishna explains how to take steps in the right direction, like that. So these are steps leading to further. There are always steps that lead to sort of making this world more complex, more entangled, creating more entanglement and complexities. But there are also steps that can lead us to liberation or freedom and tranquility, like that. So he starts off in the first 12 chapters, the first 12 verses, by explaining that Arjuna, you're still confused, despite Krishna's explanations in chapter 3. Arjuna still considers work and renunciation to be mutually exclusive paths. Thus, Krishna now elaborates on how an individual who works in the spiritual consciousness is automatically elevated to the platform of renunciation. How can you do that? If one engages in righteous work, offering results to Krishna, to God, and all the while keeping alert to the ultimate goal, then such work becomes worship. So Krishna is indicating very nicely here how to do things. That whatever we do, as it said in chapter 3, keep your focus. The focus is always Krishna Prema. To please Krishna is always the focus. If you keep that focus, to love God, to please God as your focus, then the actions you're going to take is going to take you to that focus. So whatever we focus on is what's going to happen in our lives. And so this is why it's very important not to lose focus, especially in difficult times like this, not to lose our focus. For most people, it would be artificial and detrimental to sever themselves from worldly relationships and duties in pursuance of spiritual perfection. For most of us, we cannot do that. And so those of us even who can do that, we're still asked not to do that so that we can set the example for others. But internally, like we said earlier, we stay fixed in Krishna consciousness. We stay fixed in God consciousness, like that. Thus, the path of karma yoga offers a progressive means of spiritual development while simultaneously staying in this world. Just as a lotus leaf is surrounded by water but remains completely dry, one can stay in this world and still remain aloof from its influences, like that. So this is the idea that Krishna is now showing Arjuna. How can you do things in this material world and at the same time remain aloof? Because the soul has its own purpose, and the soul is who we are, as it was described in chapter 2. And the soul is amazing, it's wanting to do amazing things, but the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the false ego, who are actually tools meant to help the soul, have now kidnapped the soul and now are doing things that they want, which has nothing to do with the soul. So now, how are you going to make both of these work together is what Krishna is talking about in this chapter. So then, in the next 4 verses, Krishna says that while living this world, one can easily assume the mentality that I am the director, I am the controller and the breadwinner, that each of us is like that. We're thinking, I'm the director of my life, I'm the controller, I'm the breadwinner. In reality, Krishna explains that there are 3 doers. In any activity, there are 3 doers. And who are these 3 doers? The individual soul, the super soul, and material nature. These 3 are the doers. The individual soul, the super soul, and material nature. And so it's not the senses that are the doers, not the mind, not the intelligence, and not the false ego. These are not the doers. But we generally work on the basis of these 4. And so what happens is that something has come up where I've got to get this out here on my computer. From time to time, these notifications come and we don't do anything but shuts the computer down, goes into another mode. So actually, Krishna is describing here that we generally tend to think it is my senses, it is my mind, my intelligence, and my false ego that are the doers, and we act on that basis. And we identify with these ones. We think that I am my senses, I am my body, my mind, my intelligence, and my false ego. And therefore, what happens is the non-doers take over, and the doers are actually the ones who are really doing, and this creates a confusion like that. So Krishna then describes that what to speak of controlling the results of our activities. We are barely in control of even the physical and mental tools with which we're supposed to perform these activities. So what are these tools? These tools are the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and the false ego. We need to control these. Instead, they're controlling us. That is the difficulty that we're having. That's what Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. So the individual soul can only desire. That's what happens. It can desire. And because it desires, then Krishna fulfills. In English, there's a saying, man proposes and God disposes, like that. So that desire is then sanctioned by God, because God is residing within the heart as the super soul. And then the ability to perform that activity comes from material nature, which arranges the necessary facilities. So an example is given: just as an infant lacks the ability to ride a bike, first time when the little child is riding a bike, it lacks the ability, it hardly can walk, it can hardly stand, and it's riding the bike. But it can still pretend to do so with the help of the stabilizers. So, there are these wheels that are there that are the stabilizers. The parents are there to stabilize the bike like that. And so the child is thinking, I am the one who is doing it. So in the same way, in this world, the individual soul is constantly supported by the super soul in the heart, who provides all the knowledge, inspiration, and facilities to function. So like that. So we should understand that. Now we can see how it all ties in. The soul desires, the Lord says, okay, and then the Lord makes the arrangements with material nature, how this is going to be fulfilled, and then the senses, the mind, the intelligence, and false ego can now engage to do whatever needs to be done, and everything becomes perfect. So this is the way perfection happens, and this is what Krishna is explaining for Arjuna. This is how you're going to have to do things, then everything will work out in your life very nicely. So then, in the next 10 verses, Krishna says that since the super soul resides in every living being, the advanced spiritualist is able to see every life form, be it a plant, an animal, a human, as a temple of God. And of course, Krishna also says later on that I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. So we see ourselves as children of God, but we also see that we are also the temple of God, that every one of us. And it's amazing how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, I'll be happy to sell 64 of my mutts, the temples that he had, to make one devotee. So we should see that everyone is actually, every living entity is as a temple of God. In this way, there'll be utmost respect given to every living being. Because sometimes we feel, I really need to say this, and we say it in a way that is a little insulting to others. They may feel bad about it, and then your message is lost because they feel the insult and then the message is not heard. So the idea is, as people who are reaching out to others, we have to be careful that we speak in a way that actually does not insult others, makes them feel respected. Now, once in a while, as a senior person or as a person in authority, you may need to speak in a way that is a little corrective and therefore will sound a little insulting like that. But then the purpose, the intention should be that this person is also a child of God. Krishna wants these people to be happy, this person to be happy. And so that is the intention behind it. There's a pure intention behind everything that we do. And that pure intention, again, comes back to the focus, which is to please Krishna, to always love Krishna, to always please Krishna like that. So different bodies with different qualities are produced according to one's past actions. Yet each entity is of the same spiritual quality. This is achinta bheda bheda, like that, simultaneously one and different. Thus, we as devotees are supposed to be not only free of racism and nationalism, ageism and sexism, but also speciesism, like that. Do not discriminate against species from the point of view of the greatness of each species. Each species is a soul, and ultimately the soul, and that soul is qualitatively the same as all other souls, like that. So if we see people like that, we see everything around us like that, everyone around us like that, other living entities around us like that, then Krishna says, now you will have equal vision. And with that equal vision, you're going to be able to do much greater things. The soul is going to do amazing things. So now Krishna is laying down the practical ways things are happening. And then finally, in verse number 29, just one verse, he does something that is truly amazing. He shows us how much he loves us. He describes himself as Suhrida. Suhrida means the greatest lover, the greatest benefactor, the best well-wisher. And what this does, it makes the soul feel peaceful. The soul knows, I'm loved by the greatest person. The greatest person in creation actually is my best friend and loves me so much that he will do anything for me, like that. So we become peaceful, just like a child is peaceful when it's playing, because it knows that the parents have made all the arrangements. The toys are there and I can just play. And they're happy because the parents are around. And while the parents are around, they know there's nothing to worry about. If anything happens, the parents will sort it out, like that. So this chapter, chapter 5, emphasizes the temporary nature of our stay in this world. We come in this world with nothing and we leave with nothing. In the interim, we can claim proprietorship and develop attachments to various objects, and these cause problems and disruption. So change is a constant theme in this world. Our relationships are changing, the environment is changing, our possessions are changing, our desires are also changing. To the extent that we develop a sense of detachment, understanding that the Supreme Lord is the proprietor and we are simply the caretakers. To that extent, we can experience a sense of peace within. So interestingly, in this inner peace, it is that this inner peace that brings about global peace. So if we're not peaceful, there's no peaceful that's going to come around the world. So we have to become peaceful. This is why we always chant Hare Krishna, and we read Prabhupada's books, and we take Krishna Prasadam, and we associate with devotees. We do sadhu sangha, like that. And this is how we become sadhus. What does it mean to be sadhu? Sadhu means that we are completely honest in our intention. Excuse me. That we are completely honest in our intention. What is our intention? Our intention is always to please Krishna, to love Krishna, and to deal with everyone and everything, every circumstance and every place in relation to Krishna. So become a community of individuals who are free from attachment, greed, envy, and covetousness. And that's what this world really needs. In this chapter, chapter 5, Krishna actually indicates something very important to us, and that is that to do things properly, we have to be guided properly as well. In chapter 4, he showed the guidance to come from transcendental knowledge. So what is transcendental knowledge? Transcendental knowledge is knowledge that transcends this world. It means it's of this world and also transcends this world. And it's not just you're hearing, but you're also doing. This is why people say, did you hear me? And you say, yes. And if you did not do what was being asked to do, then the person will say, sorry, you did not hear me. So this transcendental hearing means that we're also doing. And so in this doing, how do we get the support to do what we have to do? And for this, the support system is Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. The super soul internally, who is guiding us, excuse me, is actually coming in the form of Guru, Sadhu, and Sastra. Guru means the person or persons who are actually guiding us, holding our hands, and walking us back to Godhead, because they know how to do that. They're doing it, they're in an advanced stage, and they can help us. And every one of us must become Guru to train others who are behind and actually catch them up as well, so that we're all going back to Godhead together. Sadhu means a person. I just described the word sadhu. Sadhu means a thoroughly honest, God-conscious person whose only purpose in life is to please God, and therefore please everyone and everything, every place, every circumstance very nicely. Have these happen very nicely. That is sadhu. Sadhu does sadhya. Sadhya means to actually do things that are realistic, that are fully God conscious, fully Krishna conscious. And that's why we call it sadhana. Sadhana means that we are practicing this process so that we will become perfected and become pure devotees, become purified souls like that. And of course, Sastra. Sastra means books of knowledge, because Dharman to Bhagavad, Dharman to Sakshat Bhagavad Pranitam. This is what it said in the scriptures, that Dharma means that which is spoken by the Lord. It is Shruti, as was described in chapter number 4. It is what is spoken by the Lord. That is Dharma. Dharma is not what anybody just makes up as Dharma and then makes up false gods and false systems out there, and then they make a lot of money out of it. These are all just money-making systems, but they call it religion, they call it spirituality, they call it philanthropy, they call it welfare, to cheat people so that people can. Now, they may not know they're cheating people because they've been cheated like that themselves. They never learned from a person in parampara, which is why chapter 4 is very important. You have to hear from parampara. You have to hear from a person who comes from the lineage, starting with God. Otherwise, the knowledge will become corrupted, and corrupted knowledge will give you results. And corrupted results means you will be living either hellish life or a life of false happiness, or a temporary life of happiness. And none of these are satisfying to the soul, because the soul is complete, and the soul wants complete satisfaction, complete happiness, like that. So these are, this is chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita. I'm going to now open it up for questions or statements that people would like to speak. And also then after that, after the question and answers, I'll also ask all of you to please say a little about how things are going for you, how you're doing, and maybe a report on what are you doing now that is going to be helpful in this time to a lot of people who are very confused. And as we heard yesterday, the leader of the person who actually is heading up President Trump's fight against coronavirus, she's a lady, very, very intelligent lady. She's highly respected by everyone. And she said that even if everything we do perfectly to deal with this coronavirus, 200,000 people will die, and obviously many more can die. So the point is that this has made a lot of confusion in the lives of people. They become very scared. People are, have become anxious and depressed. And now we need to reach out and give them strength, have our own strength and reach out with strength. So what are we doing like that? I'd like to hear about that, and others can hear. We can learn from each other. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Kindly raise hand if you would like to speak so I can unmute you. Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the class.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, I will allow participant to unmute. 1 second. All right. So if anybody wants to speak, they can unmute themselves. There is a question in the chat box.
Yes.
Rupnaga Prabhu has asked a question, Prabhuji. This current pandemic seems to have a punitive purpose. How are we to see otherwise?
Yes, very good question. So there are two persons who really control everything in this world. One is Krishna himself, and one is his deputed agent, and her name is Maya Devi. So Maya Devi is a pure devotee of Krishna herself. And both of them are acting in consonance with one another. They're sort of working together because both have the same purpose, which is how we can all love Krishna fully and actually come to the highest success of our life, the greatest enjoyment of the amazing nature of the soul. So these two use methods differently. One is like a good cop and the other one is like a bit of a bad cop. So the good cop is Krishna. Krishna never punishes anybody. Even if it looks like he's punishing somebody, in that punishment, the person will get liberation. The person will have amazing, great things happen in their life. We can see even the worst of personalities like Hiranyakashipu, who really created a lot of havoc in this world. The way Krishna dealt with him, when he squished him between his nails like a bug, Krishna gave him liberation. Actually, he went to Swarga, and then he actually was able to also become fully liberated like that. So there's the benefits. He always gives. Mayadevi, on the other hand, does punish. There's a very nice, famous saying, Krishna bhuliyaju bhogavan chakare, maya tare pache jhapadiya dare. So basically what it means is that the living entity, having forgotten Krishna, starts enjoying the senses and doing so many bad things and good things and other things like that, doing karma and vikarma like that. And Maya tare pache jhapadiya dare. And Maya from the back will trip us up and slap us and punish us like that. So yes, in that way, coronavirus acts in both these ways. Because through coronavirus, those of us who are devotees, those of us who are God conscious, we become more encouraged. We actually become more enthused. Oh, now people will listen more. People will do more, and we should do more. It proves our love for Krishna by actually doing more that pleases him like that. And so, and simultaneously, those who are not so Krishna conscious, they feel like, oh, this thing is going to kill me, it's going to harm me, it's going to destroy the economy, and they worry. And so then, in that difficult situation, they start thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And so some processes come out of that situation where improvement happens to society like that. So even when Maya punishes, she also has a good purpose. Her purpose is ultimately that the living entity will do the right thing. And that until that living entity does the right thing, she will introduce more and more levels of difficulty. So like that. So we can see this virus from both these lights. And if we see it from both these lights, it is very important for us. Then we can understand completely what is happening and then deal with the situation properly like that. Okay, then there's this next question. There was another question. I don't see it on the chat, Prabhu.
There's a comment. Class has been magnificent, Divya and Vinu.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I ask one question?
Please, please.
Yeah. So Prabhu, you told about the desire and Supreme Lord sanctions that desire. So Prabhu, what kind of people desire this to, create this kind of a virus, and then how Lord sanctions this kind of desires, and material nature also approves and assists, like in manifesting. So many people get infected and then get killed.
Yeah, very good question. Excellent question. So basically, the desiring, desiring is meant to be from the soul, but it is not, people are not acting on the basis of their soul. You notice that I spoke that earlier? They're acting on the basis of their senses, their mind, their intelligence and false ego. And these also have their desires, by the way. They also have their own desires. Everything is a person, ultimately. There is consciousness behind the senses. There's consciousness in the mind. There's consciousness in the intelligence. There's consciousness in the false ego. So these also have desires. But the thing is that these guys' desires have taken over, you see. And Krishna is also the super soul of these also. So then Krishna, their desires. In the meantime, the soul will have to witness all the difficulties because the soul lost control. And the soul losing control, these other controllers have taken over, and now this havoc is being created. You see what I'm saying? And so the Lord has to allow these things to happen. Why? Because that is what it means to have freedom. Free will remember we spoke earlier, why did Krishna create? Krishna manifest and create. He manifested because he wanted to increase happiness. The greatest happiness is in the emotion of love. And the emotion of love, the most important ingredient is free will. One must have free will. And so when one has free will, then you can love. Otherwise, there's no love. You cannot love by force. You can only love by free will. Free will means you should be able to do three things. We'll see this in chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita. You should be able to do the right thing. You should be able to do the wrong thing. Or you should sit in the middle and decide. You can decide which one would I like to do, this side or that side. Like that. These three choices to be there. If any of these three choices are missing, there is no free will. If there is no free will, there is no love. And since the focus is love of God, Krishna must allow people to act according to how they really want to act. Now, the people are supposed to be the soul. But what has happened is when the soul came to the material world, the soul became affected by material nature, particularly in the form of the senses, the mind, intelligence, and false ego, because these are also there in material nature. And the soul became affected by this by association. What happened? It was association. We associated with people, with circumstances, with things, and with places that were forgetting Krishna. They were ignorant of Krishna, ignorant of their relationship with Krishna. So this ignorance took over and it created forgetfulness of Krishna. And so it is described in the scriptures that it is this forgetfulness of Krishna that is the cause of all difficulties in this world. Krishna bhuliya jiv. The soul forgot Krishna. How? The soul came to the material world. Why did the soul come to the material world? Because it made a choice. That was its choice. And so there are different arguments given philosophically, but the way Prabhupada describes it is that we did come from the spiritual world, but we made a choice to come to the material world because free will means choice. It was a foolish choice, we realize now, but it was a choice. So we came to the material world. When we made the choice to come to the material world, the association with the material world, you might remember in the earlier chapters it was described, when the soul, which is love of God, comes and touches material energy, then it becomes lust. The love becomes lust. And lust means now we forget Krishna and we start thinking, I should enjoy my senses. My mind is so smart. I'm so intelligent. The world should understand that I am the greatest person and everybody should bow down to me, like that. These types of thoughts come into the process. And then the results start showing. Material nature will assist in the process because material nature also wants to make sure that we learn. And how do you learn? A lot of times we learn from the school of hard knocks. It is described there are two ways to learn. You can learn by hearing from the right source, or you can learn by experience. That's called the school of hard knocks. And so most of us, or all of us, most of the time learn from school of hard knocks. But fortunately, as we become further up in our consciousness, we start hearing properly from scripture, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, because Krishna comes through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra to actually hold our hand and walk us back home, back to Godhead. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, you think people will learn with this incidence?
Yes, they will learn in the sense they will understand that things are temporary, that it's not always easy. We have to do certain things to look after ourselves. And, remember, those of us who die in the process, or some of us may die also. This is, like I said, an equal opportunity thing. It's not just good people stay alive, bad people die, or anything like that. It's not like that. Anybody can die because of this process. Those of us who die because we're moving on to the next place where we want to perform our pastimes with Krishna. For those of us who are not very aware, we're given another chance in another life based on our actions in this life. So we have to learn that. How do we learn? There's two ways to learn. Some people, like you are rightly thinking, may not learn from this. They may just, somehow dodge it and then go right back to doing what they were doing before. But a lot of people will learn. And one of the reasons a lot of people will learn is because of the devotees of Krishna. Because the devotees of Krishna will take this as an advantage, as a time to reach out to people and touch them with real knowledge. You see what I'm saying? With real experiences that will allow the soul to become truly amazing and achieve supercidity, complete satisfaction like that. And so a renaissance will happen. You will see this will happen. And it'll become very obvious, say about 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, that there's a change that is happening right now, and people will become a lot better off than they were in the past. Actually, this is a particular age, scientifically, that can be proven to be the golden age. This is Satyuga coming back within Kali Yuga for 10,000 years after Lord Chaitanya came. And you will see that Satyuga will set in, this golden age will set in again. And people will become more God conscious. They will become much better in their lifestyles and a lot happier and things like that. And much more Krishna consciousness and God consciousness and love of God will actually happen. So yes, it's going to happen. But in the meantime, some people are going to pay a very heavy price in many, many ways. People are going to pay a heavy price, and it's going to look very bad. It's going to feel very bad also. But what can we do? We asked for it, now we have it, and now we have to live with it, like that. There's a saying in English, you are where you are, meaning that whatever you're experiencing, it is only because of what you did that will allow you to experience that. So if we're experiencing unhappiness, it is only because we are forgetting Krishna and we're not actually doing what needs to be done. And this world is a terrible world. So all of these reasons are there. And what are we going to do about it is why this whole Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Please get in touch with the right people, hold their hands, sadhu sangha like that, and then they will show us the process, and then we'll all chant, feast, and dance our way back to Godhead. That is meant to be the process. And people are receptive. I can tell you the way I'm reaching out, people are reaching out to me because I'm one of the persons out there meeting people know about it. The way they're reaching out is just, I'm overwhelmed. I've got a backlog of people that I've got to call and reach out to and meet with. You see what I'm saying? Because of the fact that it's just overwhelming. People are asking questions now. They want to know how to deal with this situation. What can we do? And there are some simple processes, by the way. And I know we repeat this over and over again, but the thing is that this particular virus is covered by what is called a layer of fat. And you need to break that fat down. That is the biggest thing. If you look up Johns Hopkins University, they've done a very nice research on this. And they've shown that it's a cell that has fat over it. And to break the fat down is why they say 65% minimum alcohol or heat or something like that breaks the fat and then makes. So, drinking hot water is very important. Drinking hot milk, like that. Taking some steam baths so that, you can take hot system into you. What I do is I take some nice essential oils like peppermint and other things, just rub it on my hand and then smell it and then breathe it through my mouth. And it's amazing what it does to your body. It'll actually kill it'll break that cell. Once it breaks, it's a very weak virus. Its strength lies in its covering of fat. And if we can attack the fat, you got the solution. And this is why the people in China are now surviving very well. It's not like they're giving some special, medicine to them that we don't know about. It's actually because of the fact that they like to drink hot water anyway. They're natural to their system, but they've figured out this hot water is what's doing it. Hot tea, hot milk, hot whatever they're drinking, out there. And they take these steam baths, and they say even those who catch it, after they do that for 4 days, and the 5th day it becomes right. Here's the number 5 again. The 5th day it becomes fine. There's so many indications. This thing is actually happening by some arrangement that is meant to make life a lot better after this. Thank you. Any other points, questions? Sarojay Madhav?
There is one couple of questions. Rupanuga Prabhuji is asking, do we generate our own thoughts, or is our thinking actually coming from Antaryami according to our desires?
Very good, very good. Excellent point, excellent point. So basically, the answer is yes and no. The answer is yes, we create our own thoughts, because remember, the thought has something that comes before it, and that was the desire. The desire is ours. It is ours because we have free will. It is purely our desire. So when it becomes our desire, a real desire, then that one is what the super soul makes arrangements to move along to the stage of thinking, feeling, willing, and doing like that. It moves it along like that in the process. And in that sense, what happens is when it's making these arrangements, some thoughts appear. And those thoughts may not be thoughts that we would have thought of ourselves, but the super soul makes the arrangement and those thoughts appear, and we notice those thoughts, and then that helps us to move to feeling that, oh, I like that. When you think something, that came from the assistance of the super soul and Mother Nature, we think, wow, that's a nice thought. And then we think, wow, I think I'd like that to happen. So the feeling comes. And from the feeling, the will comes. Yes, let's do this. I will do this. Let's do this. And then the doing starts. The action follows all of this. So this is how it actually works scientifically. But you might say, in many ways, we can actually say that the thought was generated by us, because without the desire, the thought would not have happened. Those things that cannot desire cannot think, cannot have thoughts. So ultimately, it is the desire. But in a way, the desire did not actually think of those thoughts that came, you might say. The thoughts that came through were not known by that desire, by the soul that's desiring at the time, but was produced by the three doers: the soul itself through the desire, the Lord, the super soul, the Lord is super soul, and material nature. They came together, and then the thoughts get produced. It's like, who created the baby? Did the father create the baby, or the mother created the baby? The answer is both created the baby. That's how the babies get created, like that. So these three, the thoughts, you might think of them as babies, and these babies are created by the soul, the super soul, and material nature, as described in chapter 5, this very chapter. Thank you. Very nice question.
Next question, Prabhuji. Swati Saxena Mataji. Thanks for the wonderful class. My question is, when we see COVID cases numbers rising daily, it makes us more anxious. But if we don't watch or inquire, then we feel like getting ignorant.
Right.
What should be right attitude in this situation?
The right attitude is always to stay in the association of devotees, and there'll be some devotees who are always keeping up with the news anyway,
Prabhuji, there is Haribol, there's the one last line also. Let me please finish.
Please.
So should we see all news and counts of cases or not? Hare Krishna.
Very nice. I was just coming to that, actually. I didn't see that part of the question, but I was coming to that. The point is, some of us who are trained to be leaders, we are told that we must keep in touch with the news. We must actually keep in touch with the latest statistics. And this is why you notice sometimes on Kalsaji Family, I send out statistics and things like that, and through other ways. The point is that it's not everybody's business to watch every piece of news and, the latest statistics and the analysis of the data and this, that, and the other. It's not, a devotee's purpose to do that. The devotees don't need to do that. You keep yourself abreast of it, watch some, so that it's not like you don't watch the news, you don't care what's happening out there. That's not right either. But you do a little, but then you stay in the association of devotees, and some of the devotees are keeping up with the news and the latest trends. And like I said, this fat surrounding the membrane of this virus, this, that, and the other. So some of us are keeping up with that because we want to know what is the answers that really work, as opposed to, because there's a lot of speculation out there. Some people say if you do a headstand, then you will not get coronavirus. Some others say that, if you put yourself in a bunker underground, at least 100 meters underground, then you will not catch coronavirus. So these are many, many examples given of different ways of how to deal with this situation. And some of these are highly impractical and not even true for that matter. And so, you won't believe this. I just read an article yesterday, and they're talking about those who live in submarines, they will not catch coronavirus. And so anyway, so the point is this, that for a few of us, and by the way, it doesn't mean that we are better. Those few who know more are not better. It's just that service is given like that the leaders must know what's happening. And they should be able to answer the question. They should be able to deal with the situation like that. That is the purpose of the leader. The leader is like the father of the family, father of the community. And the father's purpose is to make these things happen, take care of the family properly, like that. The rest of the family has enough information, as much as they need, but they really focus on what they need to do. And, like we spoke about, let's hear some reports and we'll hear how different people are focusing like that on loving Krishna, on moving up love of Godhead, to promote love of Godhead like that. So that's actually the idea. The individual is different. And if anyone is confused, you can always talk to someone like me, and we can tell you how much to do and how much not to do, specifically in your case. Because if you're a Bhakti Vriksha leader, you need to know a little more than others, because you're going to be talking to people in the Bhakti Vriksha. They're going to ask questions, and they don't want to hear that you're ignorant. They don't want to know you're ignorant, because then they lose faith. People lose faith in people when they realize that these people really don't know what they're talking about and what they're doing and things like that. And then they look for somebody who's a better leader. And often they go outside the system, and then it makes it even worse like that. Okay, thank you very much.
There are few comments. So Piyush Prabhuji is telling, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thanks for the nice class. We are mostly taking association and sharing online, just like this class. In a way, association has increased.
Yes.
So
wonderful, brilliant point, Piyush Prabhu. And by the way, I always watch your comments that you put on the different because I really like your comments. Thank you very much. I'm appreciative of the fact that you're staying focused in this situation, and that's very, very nice. Thank you very much. All of you were staying focused. Thank you very much. And don't take offense. Some of us take offense that someone is saying, no, you should just chant Hare Krishna, and someone is saying, no, you must actually, wash your hands and this, that, and that. We're all saying the same thing in different ways. But the idea is, whatever you do, take care of yourself and keep moving forward in your Krishna consciousness, because ultimately we need to get out of this world. You can't hang around here and then have these experiences over and over and over again, which is why one of the nice devotees asked the question, will they learn? Because we're not people who learn very easily. We're not very good at learning. We're very good at doing things that are not very good. What about
next
reports, Prabhuji? You were saying that some people are going to give reports or something.
Yeah, can I just finish the few on the comment box?
Please, you can do whatever you like. I'm here all the time. I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So Chitra Gidwani Mataji has commented that Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I feel the chanting of holy name is more important than ever before during this health crisis which has affected whole world. Thanks for the very nice class. May Lord Krishna give us all the strength to be strong in this time and do our duty.
Thank you very much. Wonderful point. Actually, I just tell you a little secret. I've increased my chanting. I'm actually relying more on the holy name, because actually at one point I'll tell you a story of the Mahabharata, which actually is the story of the Battle of Kurukshetra, which actually proves this point, that there is nothing more powerful than the chanting of the holy names of God. And actually one time Prabhupada said, he was asked, who is your favorite God brother? And he gave the name of a God brother. And he said, why? He said, because he chants a lot. He always chants. He thinks everything will be solved if you chant Hare Krishna. I love him so much. I love him. And he said, look how I started the movement. I stood underneath a tree alone with, kartals in my hand, and I played the kartal and I chanted Hare Krishna. And you're all here because of that. This whole movement started. We don't have faith in the holy name. That is our problem. That is our problem. But that does not mean that we don't do the other things. I do all the other things. I do some gargling and other things as well. I want to make sure that because I'm in the material world, I can't tell Krishna, oh, I am transcendental, nothing will happen to me. I'm the most foolish person if I do that. And also set a bit of an example for others to follow. I stay in the home, like we made this restriction, can't come to the temple unless you are invited. I'm also one of them. I go once a week because I have a service once a week at the temple. I don't go, I sit at home. I'm sitting right next to the temple. I sit at home, I watch online, and I do everything online. Set the example, like that. So thank you very much. I really like the emphasis on the holy name. That's my heart. At the same time, my brain, my mind tells me, no, you have to be practical. You can't just be, only chant Hare Krishna and think, oh, Krishna will look after me. Krishna is not my servant. I am Krishna's servant. I have to do. And I have to do what these things like Johns Hopkins University says, simple things, wash your hands, simple things, do those things, stay away from people. The idea is that what really breaks this one way is the heat, but the other way is also the separation. Because somebody has it, you don't catch it, and you break the cycle. That's a very good point. But the most important thing is cutting that heat that cuts this thing in the first place. And of course, the most important thing is, please chant the holy names of God, because it is the holy name of God that makes everything happen in this world, including this virus. Thank you.
Arvind Prabhuji, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So the people will become godly after this incident for next 10,000 years and then again deteriorate as the Kali Yuga progresses?
Yes, they will become more God conscious, not fully God conscious necessarily. Some people will, but you have to remember there are trillions and trillions and trillions of living entities out there. There are 8,400,000 species of life. Just the human species, we're saying there are almost now 8 billion people on this planet. But can you think of all the other species? How many there might be? There's just unlimited number of species. All of these have to rise to the human level as well. So as more people become God conscious and leave, other people, other living entities are becoming people. They're becoming humans. So there'll always be humans, and there'll always be humans that are learning, always humans that will be making mistakes. But generally speaking, this golden age will be better than generally the other ages like Kali Yuga, that when it sets in. Right now it's setting in. It's not fully set in yet, Kali Yuga. It'll fully set in after 10% of its designated length. 432,000 is its designated length. 43,200 years, 43.2 thousand years, which means 43,200 years, is the first 10% of Kali Yuga. At that time, the effect of Dwapara Yuga is still in here. It's not pure Kali Yuga. And so when pure Kali Yuga sets in, it's going to be really nasty. But we can already see some effects of Kali Yuga, and it is very nasty already. So, the idea is that this age will make it a little better for people, more conducive to practicing Krishna consciousness, more peaceful, this, that, and the other will happen. And for the golden age, which started when Lord Chaitanya came, that has only gone on a little over 500 years. The first 1,000 years is its 10%. And so that 10%, the effect of Kali Yuga and the other yugas is still having some effect. But after the first 1,000 years, it will become pure golden age. And that's when everything will be first class. But even before that, because Prabhupada really worked very hard, I have a personal realization, and a lot of people agree with me, that the deities will help this golden age come in faster. And I personally think it's going to be another 50 years. Within the next 50 years, people will see this world will be very Krishna conscious, very God conscious, very much moving forward in the right direction. I'm absolutely confident of that in my heart, that will actually happen. And we're seeing some effects already come in. How many people are becoming devotees? How many people are listening to Krishna consciousness, like all of you? How many wonderful personalities there are? And and then we're touching other people, and they're becoming wonderful, and they're becoming wonderful. And all of this is coming from the strength of the holy name. Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Eva Eva, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. Like that, many statements made like that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, there is one more question.
Sure.
It's kind of a question and concern of Lalita Mataji.
Yes.
She's writing, thank you for the class, Prabhuji. We have an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva in our Bhakti Vriksha.
Yes.
He has been coming for 2 years and he agrees with the philosophy, except that he thinks we are mistaken taking Krishna as the supreme, this beast, the supreme. How can we help him without hurting him? The proofs from the scriptures does not matter to him, as I feel he is very emotionally attached to Lord Shiva.
Why I'm laughing is that you're describing me in 1981. This was me in 1981. Exactly the same. I like the philosophy. I don't agree Krishna is God. Lord Shiva is God. Very emotionally attached to Lord Shiva. I'm still emotionally attached to Lord Shiva, by the way. Because some of us are, had some dealings with Lord Shiva in our past lives, and therefore we're very attached. So the answer to that question is that we have to tell that person that, look, in the Shiv Puran, it is clearly stated, very clearly stated, that Lord Shiva says 3 things. One is that the essence of all philosophy is contained in the Bhagavad Gita, that it is Krishna who is the supreme person who will bring about total peace and happiness in this world. It is the holy names of God that when they are chanted, that all auspiciousness will be bestowed upon this world. This is in the Shiv Puran, okay? So this is Lord Shiva, it's his Purana. This is Lord Shiva Puran. And then it also says that you must find a guru in this life who will deliver you in this way. And if you don't do that, then you will have to come back for another 10,000 lifetimes and not have the opportunity to do that. So you must do that in this life. And the most important thing, it says, that actually did the right thing for me, because all of that didn't help me much either, because I was too attached to Lord Shiva. It says, if you really, really, really believe in Lord Shiva, then you must pray to Lord Shiva like this. Oh my Lord, I am a fool. I am a sinner. I know nothing. I'm full of ignorance. But you are Trikal Gyani. You know everything, past, present, and future. You are the most amazing person. Please bless me that I may please you in this life. And do what you want me to do in this life. Please, I beg you for this mercy. I beg you for this benediction. Please give me this benediction. If you feel I love you at all, please give me this benediction. And I used to pray like that every day, every day, every day. And Lord Shiva showed me Krishna consciousness. He showed me my spiritual master. And as a result, I came inside Hare Krishna, and who I used to hate before, by the way. I used to hate the Hare Krishnas. I sued them. I'm the first person in the world to ever sue the Hare Krishnas anywhere in the world. My family were politicians, and the rest of them were, I was not. And they felt the best thing to do was to bomb the temples, kill the devotees. That's the best way to deal with the Hare Krishnas. And that's where I came from. Obviously, he's not that violent, and he's not that thinking bad about Hare Krishnas. So he's a better case than I was. But the point is that this is what changed me. This is a practical way to deal with Lord Shiva's devotees. I love Lord Shiva's devotees for this reason only. And that is that, of course, Lord Shiva himself is the best amongst devotees. He's described as Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, the best. Lord Krishna loves him so much. He was the only male, by the way, outside of Krishna, the only male who got inside the Rasa Leela. Nobody can get inside Rasa Leela. Even women can't get inside Rasa Leela. Even Mother Lakshmi couldn't get inside Rasa Leela. But Lord Shiva got in. Why? This is how much Krishna loves Lord Shiva. And why? Because Lord Shiva doesn't love anybody more than Sankarshan. Sankarshan, that's why he's known as Shankar Bhagavan. Who is Sankarshan? Sankarshan is Anantaseshan. What is Anantaseshan's role? He's always protecting Krishna. And the way you'll see him covering Krishna, always covering Krishna, always loving Krishna. For Lord Balaram, there is nobody but Krishna. He loves Krishna the most. Totally loves Krishna. He'll protect him, look after him in every way, make sure he massages his feet to whom he's showing. Krishna also massages his feet. Anyway, the point is that Lord Shiva's heart is, please become a devotee of Krishna. Please listen to these devotees who come in the parampara of Krishna. They will deliver you to the highest destination, and we will all chant, sing, and dance in the spiritual world together. Did you know in Golok Vrindavan, Lord Shiva is also there. His form is also there. His form is there in many different ways, like Chakleshwar Mahadev, Siddheshwar Mahadev, Kameshwar Mahadev, like that. So he's there. Bhuteshwar Mahadev. So like that, he's there. And then and we will chant, feast, and dance with him. What a nice situation, right? The thing about our process is that everybody is there in the process in the spiritual world. Let's just get back there and have a good time with all of them. Lord Ramachandra, everybody is there. Please. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Wonderful point. I love this. This is what I love the most when I meet Lord Shiva's devotees. I love it, right? Because then I can actually help serve them in a way that they can actually truly become happy in their lives. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. I see Preeti Mataji. You want to say something, Mataji? You're on mute. You want to say something, Preeti Mataji? No, okay. Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, actually, I wanted to discuss with something with you today, but I think we don't have much time today. So I'll take it up tomorrow. Okay. I will share with everybody so they can also hop in tomorrow. We want to maybe do a debate. I will take scientist side and you take devotee side. And I'm going to try to convince that Hare Krishna Mahamantra will not work for this pandemic. Okay. And you please convince us with scriptures and all this backup that now this will work. Okay. Hopefully we'll come out of something. Because the reason I want to bring this debate is, without this debate, we cannot convince a lot of people in the outside world, who don't really believe in Hare Krishna mantra and who are not coming from a devotee background.
Right.
And my other humble request to everybody is, as we have read in Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada has mentioned many times, one who preaches is more dear to Krishna and our whole goal is to please Krishna. So if you really want to please Krishna, the easiest way is to preach. And preaching does not have to be hours and hours of preaching. Even sharing one message in our WhatsApp groups to non-devotees, actually they are the one who needs the scriptures help, the Hare Krishna help, the devotees help right now, then the devotees, because devotees are going to chant anyway. They're going to do their prayers, they're going to read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, they have devotee association. So they will be protected somehow or the other. But non-devotees who have not come in touch with Krishna consciousness, who are not chanting, who are not going to temple, they really need help, and we all can help them. So my humble request to each and everybody on the call today is, please reach out to them, reach out to your family members, your neighborhood, your friends, request them to come. Prabhupada was also Prabhupada, when he met his spiritual master, he was not ready to meet. His friend took him to his spiritual master with some conviction, that, hey, please come last time. And today we have ISKCON, we have this satsang. So a little push from our side, not offending them, but humbly, if you can bring them on board, I'm sure they will benefit a lot. If we are benefiting, they can also benefit. We have to give them some time, some compassion, some love, and I'm sure they will start joining these classes and they'll thank you forever. Nityananda Prabhuji, would you like to add something?
Well, yeah, one small thing. This idea of devotee and non-devotee. I look at it like this. That they're billionaires and then people are not billionaires, right? So if the billionaires can show the people who don't have billions, where the billion is, so that they can get a hold of it, and then they also become billionaires, they will be, obviously, they'll love the billionaire very much, right? They'll think, thank you, you showed me where the $1 billion was, and I got it, I also got it. So actually everybody is a devotee in the sense that everyone is a child of Krishna, and Krishna loves each and every living entity completely. But the fact, some people know it, some people don't know it. Those of us who have come to know it, that this is something very valuable that now we have with us, we want to give that to others because they also deserve it. Then that will really help us. So because sometimes people think I should not preach because I'm not a nice devotee, I'm a sinner myself, how can I preach to anybody else? No, that is not what we call preaching. Preaching simply means to give Krishna to somebody. So how you can give Krishna to somebody? Show them where Krishna is, where they can learn about Krishna, and then they can become totally happy in their lives as well. So I just wanted to say it like that. But thank you.
Yes, thank you. And one more quick update, that this Sunday, this Saturday is Ekadashi. So hopefully Saturday and Sunday we are going to do Japathon. We did last Sunday, we had 1,200 families from several countries in the world, like all over the world, people joined, and they were doing 3 to 4 hours non-stop japa. Nice. And Prabhupada said, if 1% of the world become devotee, 99% will benefit automatically. So if we collectively chant from our own homes, but just join through Zoom, invite people, I think with holy name, we can definitely help the world. I'm also hearing the ministers, local politicians, they're trying to reach some leaders. I'm going to connect His Grace Nityananda Prabhu also, trying to figure out ways, and they are trying to reach out to Indian community to find out how we can help the politicians in this crisis. So I think there is a lot devotees can do in this crisis, and this is an opportunity for us, is what we all see, to help others. This pandemic will go away, but the actual problems still exist. Birth, death, old age, and disease. Only with Harinam, only with the devotee association, we can overcome all these problems. So I think we should definitely take this opportunity to reach out to as many people as possible. And I really appreciate everybody's joining every day and encouraging everybody else also. Thank you so much.
Also, this Thursday is Ram Navami, as you know, and of course the temple is closed. And Ram Navami, because it's Ram Navami, and of course Ram Navami, Lord Ramchandra came during Treta Yuga, and Treta Yuga they use fire sacrifice as a process. So on this Thursday, I'll be doing a Mahayagya again, because it's Ram Navami, and just to please Lord Ramchandra and beg forgiveness that we are not able to do his service at the temple like that. If any of you, like some of you gave some names for the last time I did it, I'll use the same names again. But if any of you didn't give me your names of yourselves and relatives and friends that you would like included in the list that we have for the Mahayagya, please send it by whatever means you can to me, directly, either through my WhatsApp, portal, or by text like that. You can do that, or email if you prefer email. But directly to me, so that I can actually make a bigger list and have everybody be taken care of, because this fire sacrifice really works. It's a Mahayagya, it really works. And Thursday is Ram Navami, and we want to celebrate Ram Navami really nicely, because Lord Ramachandra is Radharani's bodyguard, and he is the one who actually brings about a world of Ram Raja, which makes people more peaceful and more Krishna conscious like that too. Thank you very much, Sarojya Madhav. And Sunday is, like we said, Ekadasi also, and then we'll be having this wonderful Japathon and Ekadasi. That's super excellent, wonderful, best of the best.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I like to request, like every day, all the devotees to please turn on your videos. Prabhuji is going to sing Narasimhadev prayer so we can see each other. Looking at devotees also is blessings.
Thank you very much.
Kalpa Vrikshas. So please turn on your videos, and Prabhuji can lead the kirtan.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Namaste Narasimhaya.
Prahlad Daine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Sharanam Prapate. Avakara Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shingam Alita Hiranyakashipu Tanubingam Keshavadhita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare
Avakara Kamala
Buddha Shringa Hiranyakashipu Anubringa Adita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare
Keshavadhita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha
Narari Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare
Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Shesh Lakshmi Narasimha Jaya Ananta Shesha Jaya
Narasimha Jaya Ananda Narasimha Jaya Ananta Shesh
Vigna Vinash Jaya Nrsimha Deva Vigna Vinash Jaya Nrsimha Deva Jaya
Narasimha Deva Vinash Jaya Narasimha Deva
Jaya Nara Hari Nara Hari Nara Hari Jaya Nara Hari Jaya Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya
Maharaj Jaya Maharaj Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj
Jaya Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Jaya
Srila Sadguru Prabhupada
Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva
Jai Guru Hari Bol
Haribo,
Hari Bol Jai Guru Hari
Haribol,
Hari
Haribol.
Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Guru Jai
Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo
Jai Guru Kamanande
De Hari Haribo
Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Anantakoti Vaishnava
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the wonderful class. Anybody would like to say anything, you can say, and we can end the class now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for the class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
I went in class.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dad Mali Tanya.
Haribol, you're back. He's the youngest in the class.
Daddy,
He's waiting for you.
Yes, what's your name? You're the youngest in the class. You're attending
Hey,
every
your
day.
name.
Bhuvan.
Who won?
Hi. Very nice.
Hey, Pranam.
Name.
Hey, Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Bhuvan.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Bol. Thank you, Chitraji. Thank you very much. Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
We'll have to end here. Hari Bol. Gauranga.
Gauranga.
యాక్టివ్ ఉండాలి. అలాంటి వాళ్ళు మనకు కలవడమే ఎక్కడ కూడా దొరకదు.
Balram Prasad Prabhu, Dandot Pranam. Are you still there? Hare Krishna, Balram Prasad Prabhu.
448.
Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. We're ending now. Gauranga.
Gauranga.